In this episode, we're going to take two words that can sound like corporate wallpaper and turn them into tools you can actually use, because a privacy mission and a privacy vision are only worth having if they change decisions and behaviors across the organization. The Certified Information Privacy Manager, CIPM, exam cares about mission and vision because privacy programs live or die on trust, and trust is not built by a single policy or a single training course. Trust is built when people inside the company understand what privacy is trying to accomplish, believe leadership is serious, and see consistent choices that match the stated purpose. A mission and vision, when communicated well, act like a compass that keeps teams aligned when projects move fast and priorities compete. You are going to learn what mission and vision really mean in a privacy program, why they matter, and how to communicate them so they create durable trust rather than eye rolls. By the end, you should be able to explain how mission and vision become daily guidance that supports strategy, governance, and operations. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is a companion to our course companion books. The first book is about the exam and provides detailed information on how to pass it best. The second book is a Kindle-only ebook that contains 1,000 flashcards that can be used on your mobile device or Kindle. Check them both out at cyberauthor.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. A privacy mission is the plain statement of what the privacy program exists to do right now, and it should feel concrete enough that a beginner can tell whether an action supports it or violates it. Mission is not a slogan about caring, because caring is not measurable, and privacy programs need measurable direction to function. A strong mission explains the purpose of the program in a way that connects to business reality, such as enabling responsible data use while protecting people and meeting obligations. It also implies the kind of work the program will do, like setting expectations, guiding teams, and ensuring consistent handling of personal information. Mission matters because it reduces ambiguity, and ambiguity is where privacy decisions get made ad hoc, which is one of the fastest ways to lose trust. If people cannot tell what the privacy program stands for, they fill the gap with assumptions, and those assumptions usually conflict across teams. Mission gives the organization a shared reason to treat privacy as part of normal work rather than a last-minute inconvenience. A privacy vision is different because it describes what the organization is trying to become over time, which means it should feel directional and aspirational without becoming vague. Vision answers the question of what success looks like when the program is mature, and it gives people a picture of the future that makes today's effort feel meaningful. In privacy, vision often involves becoming an organization where data use is transparent, choices are respected, risks are managed proactively, and privacy is integrated into product and operations rather than bolted on. Vision matters because privacy work can feel like endless maintenance, and maintenance is hard to sustain if people cannot see the long-term payoff. A clear vision also supports consistency, because teams can make trade-offs by asking which option moves the organization closer to that future. Beginners sometimes think vision is a marketing message aimed at customers, but inside a privacy program, vision is a design target for how processes, culture, and decision-making should evolve. When mission and vision work together, mission stabilizes today while vision guides growth. Trust is the reason mission and vision matter, and it helps to define trust in a way that fits privacy program management rather than feelings. Organizational trust is the belief that the organization will handle personal information in ways that are predictable, respectful, and consistent with what it says it will do. Trust is built when people see alignment between words and actions, and it is damaged when privacy promises are broad while actual behaviors are narrow, hidden, or inconsistent. Trust also operates inside the organization, because employees need to trust the privacy program enough to bring problems forward early rather than hiding them. If teams assume privacy will only punish or delay them, they will avoid engagement, and the program becomes blind to risk until it is too late. Mission and vision, communicated well, set expectations for how privacy interacts with the business, which reduces fear and reduces friction. Durable trust requires repetition, clarity, and consistent reinforcement through governance decisions, because trust is not built by a single speech. The exam is often testing whether you understand that trust is an output of systems, not an output of good intentions. One of the biggest beginner misunderstandings is thinking that writing mission and vision is the same thing as communicating them, because writing is only the start. Communication means the message is understood, remembered, and used to guide choices, and that requires translating abstract statements into practical meaning for different audiences. Executives need to hear how privacy mission and vision support risk management, reputation, and business resilience, because their attention is tied to outcomes and trade-offs. Product and engineering teams need to hear how the vision affects design choices and review checkpoints, because their attention is tied to speed and usability. Marketing teams need to hear how mission and vision guide transparency and customer expectations, because their attention is tied to reach and performance. Customer support teams need to hear how mission and vision shape rights handling and respectful interactions, because their attention is tied to quick resolution and customer satisfaction. When you communicate mission and vision, you are not changing the words for each group. You are changing the framing so the same words become usable. A privacy program manager succeeds when every team can explain the mission in their own work language without losing the core meaning. Another key misunderstanding is assuming that mission and vision are only internal culture tools, when in privacy, they also function as governance tools that shape accountability. Governance is about decision rights and consistency, and mission and vision provide the reference point that keeps governance from becoming arbitrary. If a governance committee is deciding whether a new data use is acceptable, mission and vision can clarify whether the proposed use aligns with the program's purpose or pushes beyond it. If teams request exceptions to policies, mission and vision help define what kinds of exceptions are reasonable and what kinds of exceptions undermine the program's credibility. If the organization is setting priorities for privacy investments, mission and vision help decide where to focus first, such as building inventory, strengthening rights handling, or improving transparency. Mission and vision also help reduce internal politics because they provide a shared standard that is not tied to one team's preferences. When a privacy program lacks clear mission and vision, governance decisions can feel inconsistent, and inconsistency is a trust killer. The exam often rewards answers that emphasize clarity and consistency because that is how privacy programs become durable. Communication also needs to happen at the right moments in the privacy program lifecycle, because timing influences whether people accept the message or dismiss it. Early in strategy work, mission and vision should be introduced as the foundation for the program, so people understand why the program exists before they encounter rules and controls. During governance design, mission and vision should be tied directly to how decisions will be made, because people are more willing to follow a process when they understand the purpose behind it. During operational rollout, mission and vision should be attached to procedures and training so the message is not floating above reality. When a new product initiative begins, mission and vision should show up in the intake and review conversations, because that is when teams are making decisions that shape data collection and use. When an incident occurs, mission and vision should guide communication and learning, because that is when people are watching whether the organization's values are real. A mature program uses mission and vision as recurring guidance across time, not as a one-time announcement. Trust becomes durable when people hear the same core message consistently in the context where decisions actually happen. If you want mission and vision to build trust, you have to connect them to specific behaviors without turning the message into a list of rules. The most effective approach is to communicate the mission and vision in a way that makes people think, so they can apply the ideas to new situations rather than only to predefined cases. For example, mission can emphasize respecting people through transparency and purpose clarity, and that should lead teams to ask whether a new data field is truly needed and how they would explain it to a user. Vision can emphasize privacy being built into design, and that should lead teams to involve privacy earlier and treat privacy requirements as part of quality rather than as a compliance add-on. These connections matter because trust is built when people see predictable behaviors, like consistent minimization decisions, consistent retention discipline, and consistent handling of rights requests. The role of mission and vision is to make those behaviors feel like the organization's normal way of working, not like an external imposition. When people can predict what the privacy program will recommend in a new situation, friction decreases and trust increases. Another piece of durable trust is honesty about trade-offs, because unrealistic messaging creates cynicism faster than almost anything else. If a privacy vision promises perfect control and zero risk, it will eventually collide with reality, and that collision damages credibility. A more mature vision acknowledges that the organization will use data to deliver value, but it commits to doing so responsibly, with clear boundaries and oversight. Similarly, a mission that implies privacy can be handled without effort undermines trust when teams discover real work is required. The privacy program manager should communicate mission and vision as a commitment to discipline and improvement, not as a claim that problems will never occur. This is also where risk appetite shows up, because different organizations will choose different levels of caution, and mission and vision should align with that posture while still protecting people. When a program is honest about the work and the trade-offs, teams are more likely to engage early and cooperate, because they feel they are part of a realistic system. The exam often expects you to prefer realistic, operationally grounded communication over inspirational but empty statements. Durable trust also depends on consistency between internal messaging and external messaging, because privacy credibility collapses when internal practice does not match what the organization tells customers and employees. Internal mission and vision should guide what is said in notices, how choices are described, and how rights are supported, because transparency is not just a legal requirement, it is a trust mechanism. If the organization publicly claims it respects privacy, but internally encourages teams to collect data just in case, employees notice the gap, and customer trust eventually suffers. The privacy program manager should treat mission and vision as the bridge between external promises and internal controls, because that bridge is what keeps the organization coherent. This is why inventories, assessment processes, and monitoring matter, because they provide evidence that the organization is living its mission rather than performing it. When communication is aligned, teams can confidently explain why certain controls exist, and that confidence reduces resistance. The exam tends to test this idea indirectly through scenarios about complaints, confusion, or misalignment between policy and practice. The safest program answer usually involves strengthening alignment between what is promised and what is implemented. Different audiences also need different levels of detail, and beginners sometimes struggle with the idea that the same mission and vision can be communicated in multiple forms without changing meaning. Leadership needs a compact, outcome-focused narrative that links privacy to risk management, trust, and sustainable growth, because leadership decisions determine resources and authority. Managers need an operational narrative that explains how privacy fits into workflows and how to handle conflicts, because managers are the ones who enforce procedures and resolve day-to-day trade-offs. Individual contributors need a practical narrative that answers what this means for my work, what decisions I should pause on, and where to go when I am unsure. Partners and vendors need a boundary-focused narrative that explains expectations about data use, oversight, and communication, because they operate outside internal culture but still affect outcomes. Communication succeeds when people can recall the message without effort and apply it under time pressure, which is why simple, plain language matters more than perfect phrasing. A privacy mission that can be paraphrased accurately by a product manager and by a support agent is more valuable than a mission that sounds elegant but is forgotten. Trust grows when everyone tells the same story with the same core meaning. A privacy mission and vision also become stronger when they are reinforced through accountability structures, because accountability turns words into behaviors that can be verified. If the program says privacy is built into design, then governance should require early review checkpoints and track whether projects engage privacy early. If the program says transparency matters, then the organization should measure whether notices are kept current and whether customer questions and complaints reveal confusion. If the program says rights are respected, then operations should track request handling timelines, completeness, and consistency across systems. Metrics are not the mission, but metrics show whether the mission is being lived, and that evidence is what sustains trust over time. Accountability also includes consequences and support, meaning teams need both reinforcement when they do the right thing and correction when they do not. A common beginner mistake is to treat mission and vision as softer than policies. But mature programs treat mission and vision as the reason policies exist and as the standard against which behavior is evaluated. When accountability and communication reinforce each other, the program becomes self-stabilizing. That is what durable trust looks like in a privacy program context. It's also worth addressing how mission and vision help when the organization faces stress, because stress is when trust is tested and when privacy programs either hold or crack. Stress can come from a breach, a public complaint, a regulator inquiry, or a major business push to launch something quickly, and in those moments teams want fast answers. If the mission and vision are clear and familiar, they provide a decision shortcut that keeps the organization consistent even when emotions run high. For example, if the vision emphasizes respectful use and transparency, leadership may choose clearer communication and stronger corrective actions rather than minimizing the issue or delaying disclosure. If the mission emphasizes responsible processing, teams may choose to pause and assess a risky new use rather than rushing it through and hoping it works out. Mission and vision also support learning, because after an incident, the program can ask what failed relative to our mission and what changes move us toward our vision. Without that anchor, post-incident conversations can become blame-driven, and blame-driven conversations reduce trust and reduce reporting of future issues. Durable trust depends on the organization's ability to respond to stress with consistency and integrity. The exam often prefers answers that create that consistency through clear program principles and repeatable processes. As you move from understanding mission and vision to communicating them, remember that the goal is not to sound impressive, but to sound credible and usable. A privacy mission should be clear enough that a team can apply it to a decision about collecting new data, sharing data with a vendor, or responding to a rights request. A privacy vision should be clear enough that teams can see what the program is building toward and why current controls and checkpoints exist. Communication should be tailored in framing to different stakeholders while keeping the core meaning consistent, and it should show up repeatedly in the moments where decisions happen, not only in program documents. Trust is built when words and actions align, when trade-offs are acknowledged honestly, and when accountability structures reinforce the message through measurable behaviors. Mission and vision are not decorations. They are the narrative backbone that supports governance and operations over time. When you can explain how to communicate mission and vision in a way that reduces ambiguity and increases consistency, you are demonstrating the program manager thinking that CIPM is designed to assess. Durable trust is not an accident, and a well-communicated mission and vision are two of the most reliable ways to build it.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.